Where can the horizon lie when a nation hides its organic mines in a cellar, dark and grim? They must be very dim.
Pushing through the market square, so many mothers sighing. News had just come over, we had 5 years left to sign. News guy wept when he told us Earth was really dying. Cried so much his face was wet, then I knew he wasn't lying. I heard telephones, opera house, favorite melodies, saw toys and boys, electric irons and TVs. My brain hurt like a warehouse, it had no room to spare. Had to cram so many things to store everything in there. All the fat skinny people, all the tall short people, all the somebody people, all the nobody people. Never thought I'd meet so many people. The girl my age went off her head, hit some tiny children. If the black hadn't pulled her off, I think she would have killed them. And a soldier with a broken arm fixed his stare to the wheels of a Cadillac. Cop knelt and kissed the feet of a priest, and the queer threw up at the sight of that. And I think I saw you in an ice cream parlor, drinking milkshakes cold and low, smiling and waving, looking so fine. Don't think you knew you were in this song. And it was cold and it rained, so I felt like an actor. And I thought of more, I wanted to get back there. Your face, the way that you talk. I kiss you, you're beautiful, I want you to walk. We've got 5 years stuck on my eyes. 5 years, what a surprise. 5 years, my brain hurts a lot. 5 years, that's all we've got. We've got 5 years stuck on my eyes. 5 years, what a surprise. 5 years, my brain hurts a lot. 5 years, that's all we've got. We've got 5 years stuck on my eyes. 5 years, what a surprise. 5 years, my brain hurts a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, conspiratards, the king is dead. Bowie, as in his life, has set his death to music and words.
And here's an edit from the single Blackstar. Do listen.
Something happened on the day he died. Spirit rose a meter and stepped aside. Somebody else took his place and bravely cried, I'm a black star, I'm a black star. How many times does an angel fall? How many people lie instead of talking tall? He trod on sacred ground, he cried loud into the crowd, I'm a black star, I'm a black star, I'm not against you. I can't answer why, just go with me. I'ma take you home, take your passport and shoes and your sedatives, boo. You're the flash in the pan, I'm the great I am. I'm a black star, way off my money, I've got game. I see right so wide, so open heart, it's pain. I want equals in my daydreams, diamonds in my eyes. I'm a black star, I'm a black star. Something happened on the day he died. Spirit rose a meter, then stepped aside. Somebody else took his place and bravely cried, I'm a black star, I'm a star, I'm a black star. I can't answer why, but I can tell you how. We were born upside down, born the wrong way round. I'm a white star, I'm a
So, what about Blackstar? And what about David Bowie in particular? Why have I strongly alluded to Bowie for the last few years, openly in public? Why have I been cryptic about it? Well, I was speaking only from my own insight and had no way of proving that Bowie was aware of the real condition that this world is in, the occult, hidden one I refer to, the spiritual realities that lay behind the everyday reality. I had stated to some that I believe him to be Illuminatus, and before the conspiratards and born-again Christians get too excited, do be clear. I don't mean Illuminati, not the popular baddies of the contemporary zeitgeist. I mean the exact opposite of that. With the release of Blackstar, David confirmed much that I suspected and a whole lot more, and he set himself up for the derision of the ignorant and the stupid as he fulfilled the wish of so many of his fans, and, no doubt, his own wish. That is, to leave them with a final masterpiece. And it's on that basis that Mr. Jones, who always says nothing at all, said it all and produced a magnum opus of great occult significance, when combined with Lazarus, his stage play based upon the man who fell to earth. If you don't believe me, do a few minutes Googling and learn the alchemical art of creating a tornado. Some critics are claiming it's madness, others that it's genius. And Bowie was notoriously random and complex with his meanings, and would always say that the song means whatever you want it to. But not Blackstar. Here is an initiated hermetic masterpiece, one which will leave any who have no insight of that subject, or into Bowie's life and work generally, quite mystified and seeing very little, other than the surface layers which are there to see. You'd expect me to jump on the bandwagon with this show and give my analysis of the song and the album, but I'm aware that this isn't of interest to everyone, and it's possibly even distasteful at this time of morning. So, it would be subject to so many variables anyway, that it could only be my opinion. I'm going to focus briefly on the less subjective elements, one of which is the occult symbolism and the encoding. Many people out there are condemning him for being a Satanist and Illuminati and, yes, you can count on it, reptilian. Oh, you know how they go. But I've got news for the paranoid Jesus camp and the Satanist hunting conspirators. Conspiratards. You're so far from the reality. One written down and performed for any to hear. Except those who can't and never will. They're excluded. They exclude themselves. They are correct about one thing, however, and that's only because David has laid it clearly before them. This is an occult philosophy woven around his own death. In the song, he refers to the villa of Orman, where the solitary candle burns. One will find a place by that name in Norway. It's the first thing you'll come across if you happen to Google Orman. Now in Norse, if you want to go the next step up from that, this means serpent, and it's obviously not coincidence. You're meant to work at understanding to attain it. Why should we do so, you might say? You don't have to. That's the point. In the villa of the serpent. So that's exactly the scene setter for you. This is an occult masterpiece which from that blatant introduction expands and grows. And if you think about it, this passion play will be seen and considered by more people than have ever even heard of Christianity, let alone practiced its perverse belief systems. The album name and artwork is a symbol, not the words. The five-pointed star has always been a symbol of Venus because the pattern that Venus traces around the ecliptic of its 8-year cycle makes it appear 5 times in the morning sky and 5 times in the evening sky, a 5-pointed pattern. It's the only planet to draw a regular feature in this way, and this is one of the keys to occultism throughout the millennia. This figure is sometimes seen as a pentagram, and sometimes as a 5-pointed star, and sometimes as a 5-petaled flower, the rose. I'll let you decide which image Bowie is displaying on his album. As well as being a symbol of Venus, the pentagram is highly significant in geometry because, as Leonardo's math teacher Luca Pacioli revealed in his book on divine proportion, it embodies the golden proportion in every part of it. But there is more. This sacred geometry operates in time as well as in space. 5 Venus cycles of 584 days is 1.6 of a solar cycle, and 1.6 is the beginning of the golden proportion, 1.618, whatever. An irrational and magical number which prescribes the precipitation, try saying that when you're pissed, of mind into matter. In the ancient and secret doctrines, the planets and the stars mediate the precipitation of matter. This is pure natural science, natural philosophy. So when you hear someone decry the use of the word sacred geometry, you just need to understand that they only do so because they do not understand and would rather attract attention to that fact. Well, need I say more? The whole point of certain knowledge is that it is not accessible to the profane by very virtue of their profanity. Anyway, back to Blackstar. It's going to cause consternation among the paranoid that Blackstar, the logo that is, which is used on the album cover, is actually licensed and copywritten by NASA. Da, da, da. No one's seen that yet, I don't think, but why would it not be? Lazarus, which appears on the album and, of course, is the forthcoming stage play, in occult doctrine, is far more than the man who was resurrected by Jesus Christ in the Gospels. First of all, risen from the dead is mystery school speak for a symbolic death and an initiation into the mysteries right through history. Jesus Christ did this to Lazarus. He initiated him into the mysteries, and the act was staged in public. This was a direct challenge to Rome. It was revolutionary because it signaled that the tie which bound the initiates to the ruling elite was being broken. It was the beginning of the end of the mystery schools, and it prepared the way for the secret societies. This 7-track, hermetically timed album finishes with a track called I Can't Give Everything Away. Now clearly that's a reference to the fact that he knew he was dying, but it, as ever, works on many levels. This guy has alluded to much. He can't tell you everything, he can't really tell you anything, but he can inspire you to look. And that's what has been unique about David Bowie. In the Blackstar track itself, he tells you that he can't explain, but he can show you, just come with me. And he does all this while shaking. This shaking has got many folk perturbed, and we wonder what it represents. Well, as the great investigatory conspiracy theory world gets out there and has a look, it finds nothing. It can only be satanic. But it might help you to know that Bowie asked the actors to move as though they were Thunderbird puppets, the classic motion of the famous characters, and this should give you a clue to something more beyond the ravings of the uninitiated who merely claim that it's robotism, which of course has a place in the picture. I guess this might just have been done because Bowie admired Thunderbirds and saw that it had a resonance with the theme of the album and his life and death, which is expressed here. This is art. I suggest it's hermetic art. Similarly, the obscure language used in one song, apparently gibberish and meaningless and obviously satanic, is quite the opposite. It's both the language of the Droogs in A Clockwork Orange, part of the influence present in the Ziggy Stardust character, and It's the language of the New York gay underground, which Bowie found himself plunged into as a result of going to the United States and meeting Andy Warhol. Sorry, it's not the devil's tongue. Though, I guess if you happen to be a good old-fashioned Christian American right-wing bigot, patriotic only to God, then I guess both those things represent the same thing to you anyway. The big reveal for any occultist or any who are interested in the secret doctrine is in Blackstar when he sings "Something happened on the day he died. Spirit rose a meter." He then mentions that someone took his place. A spirit rose a meter is a phrase recognizable to initiates of certain orders, and this one refers to the mysteries of the Gospel of St. John, the most occult gospel in the Bible, you might say, originally penned by Mark. In here you will find Prester John, that's Priest John Mark, and the Templar mythology, but I kind of digress there. The phrase is an identifier, as certainly as beggar at the door of love identifies a Sufi mystic. It is, of course, just as plausible that Bowie is as well read in these subjects as many are, which is exactly my point. Beyond all else, though, this is a work of hermetic art. It engages the real issues in ways which Bowie could deny if he wished, but he has no need to, because his death was woven into the synthesis, whilst at the same time teaching much of what he understands to be true to those who want to know. Watch what it's going to do. Watch what it already is doing. And I believe that as we look back to, say, the Enlightenment and the Renaissance periods, inspired by the occult revivals of those times, and admire their greatest art and writings and works, others will one day look back to Blackstar and Bowie's body of work. Something was created, and it is an antichrist. But that's where the Christians perceive with the eyes of the blind, so much so that the great masters of their own have warned them for centuries, but they can't see that they are their own antichrist. It is all that they worship, and all which allows them to, their church and its fabrications. The music is sublime and at times disturbing. It's drum and bass, jazz and much else. It isn't rock and roll. That actually was the only set goal as described by Tony Visconti, the producer. This is not rock and roll, to which the word, this is genocide, springs to mind. But Bowie once said rock and roll is the devil's music and nothing would convince him otherwise. This, therefore, is a message to possibly Bowie's greatest ever work, and you might expect nothing less, would you? Oh, how the insane religious ones will howl over this album whilst missing its importance. Bowie's enormous import to our times completely. But enough said, really, for now. Rest in peace, Mr. Jones. You may have said nothing at all, but you did say it all. And wasn't that just like you? In another world, we would have had you as Prime Minister of these sad lands, and I don't doubt they would have been a better place, less wasted, maybe, but that was never your part. You were the Pierrot, and you leave a lot of fools behind. But we do hear you, as you rise again, Lazarus,